Hello, I'm going to try and record a Pauper video with this fun mono-black sacrifice deck. I got 5-0 with it quite a while ago, and it's been really fun to play. And I think there's definitely something here with lots of different ways you can build the deck, lots of options for cards to play. Key thing to think about this deck, it's a kind of mono-black aggro, quick clock backed up by snuff outs. Got a sacrifice theme going on, putting counters on all of our creatures. We've got a lot of card draw from Deadly Disputes and various sacrifice draw to effects. A bunch of creatures that we can sacrifice for some form of value, and then a key card in the deck is Reaping the Graves. We've got a lot of 1-mana spells, so we can build up a storm count quite quickly, and then this lets us essentially rebuild more or less anywhere, and so we kind of get multiple bites at the apple. A nice synergy is that the Greedy Freebooters and Shambling Gas, if you play these and have a Reaping the Graves in your hand, they'll give you a storm count. They're mana neutral because they make a treasure token, so you can essentially play out any number of these, sacrifice them to a feeder for some 1/1 counters, play Reaping the Graves, get them back, sacrifice them again, and each iteration you're getting death triggers, you're getting treasures that you're sacrificing again. So you can go quite wide, quite tall, quite quickly. A few cards in the sideboard. Talk about just kind of being a hater against mono red. We can smash the Weather the Storms off with some Springleaf Drums and lots of treasure tokens we get from the gas. Freeboot and Deadly Disputes. A few more snuff outs where we need a clock. Need a clock back by disruption. Some graveyard hate. And then Mesmeric Fiend. So if anyone's on kind of a combo deck or trying to do some nonsense like Turbo Fog, Mesmeric Fiend, sacrificing it in response to trigger, and then buying it back with Reaping the Graves is a very disruptive, kind of longer late game tool that we've got at our disposal. That's a quick kind of talk through the deck. We'll jump into some games and we'll see how it goes. So jumping into game 1, and we're on the play. So this is one of his hands. We've got our first creature sacrifice, start drawing some cards, we'll have to keep. And we'll see what we're up against. So this is one of these types of decks where it's very synergy driven, so you're certainly hoping that you draw the right half of your deck. That's kind of the key, I guess, throttle on the deck, the reason why it's not particularly competitive, but when it's powerful, which hopefully we will see, it can certainly do its thing. So another Shambling Ghast is great. So we can use this to we can sacrifice this to pick off a creature, a spell stutter sprite at any time. We'll take our 3 point of damage, and then to try and avoid getting a spell pierced or anything like that, we'll sacrifice now, get a nice little bit of value. So as I mentioned, there's lots of ways you can build this. You could choose to build this deck. There's a lot of effects out there that when they sacrifice deal 1 damage, or the Shambling Ghast. They could have a sprite. If they do, we can Deadly Dispute or Village Rites. I'm more than happy for them to have that. We can afford to play our creatures quite freely. I'll play the first. I'll attack now if they have a I've forgotten what the creature's called. The Flash -2/-0. That'd be a shame. And then with a choice here, hold up a Deadly Dispute or hold up an Infestation Sage. I think I'm just going to play out the Sage, and then we'll try and Deadly Dispute it on a later turn. This puts us more likely to be using our Village Rites, isn't it? Yep, that's fine. So a choice again now, do we sacrifice this for 2 cards and some value? I think I'm going to hold on to it. having this this kind of effect to interrupt a spell-setter sprite is going to be quite useful. And then these kind of counterspell, kind of heavily interactive decks are where this card, the Reaping the Graves, is going to be very valuable. So we'll quickly rack up quite a lot of creatures in the graveyard, and when they counter, they're contributing to our storm count. And in the meantime, we'll just be chipping in with whatever little creatures we can. Definitely still getting used to trying to talk through decisions, still play quickly, and make the right calls. So our choice here, we can try and get a Deadly Dispute off attacking the freebooter. I guess the card I'm most worried about in that case is Spell Pierce. It'd be a shame to just get our spell countered. Obviously they're trying to hold up 2 mana there as opposed to picking off our creature for free, so that's an interesting thing to note. I think I'm looking to cast quite a lot of spells in the end of their turn here. They can have a few counters, but then we're going to hopefully be buying back, getting some value. So we'll sack the greedy freebooter first. I'll definitely take a snuff out. Interesting, they want to Spell Pierce in this order. I'll take that out of their hand. They want to, in their end step, double Spell Pierce. I think I'm fine with that. Only the one. Not quite sure what they're planning there. So we're up 1, 2, 3 creatures currently in the graveyard. I think if we're drawing extra cards on them, I'm more than happy to let them let this game go on. I actually think I'm kind of favoured as a game goes on off the back of the Reaping the Graves. If they start playing some spells, then they'll be contributing to storm count. This is an instant. Okay, they can have another one of these. And I think we can do better than simply getting back 2 creatures. Quite tempted to just try and spew a Fangs off here, pick off a free creature, because if they have a snap or something, that's not going to concern me. Had a choice as to whether they wanted to invest mana into a ninja. They don't choose to. They have a snap, will be sacrificing response. The treasure. Draw 2 cards. Got the snuff out. So here we can Deadly Dispute, sacrifice one of our treasure tokens. That will give us a storm count of 2. Still have 3 treasures, play Reaping the Graves. Unfortunately, slightly Reaping the Graves flooded, but So this works quite nicely. We'll play at the infestation stage, as obviously they were quite keen to counter that previously. And the storm count is currently, we'll be currently getting back 3 creatures. We'd have to be discarding 2 of them. It's a tough one. I think we'll still go for that. So I think we want to prioritise the infestation sage, the shambling ghasts. We'll leave the freebooter, and I guess we'll be discarding one of the shambling ghasts to back to hand size. We could snuff out one of these. That seems a bit too. It seems a bit too greedy. I don't think this creature's worth 4 damage, but it pays to be greedy. So they're trying to both play quite quickly. There's a lot of choices to make. Also trying to talk through plays. It's something to get used to. We won't block. So we've not actually had a kind of payoff up until this point. I think they're very likely to have a Spellstutter sprite. We might well be having to snuff out. Guess if we play the Infiltrator first and we've got a counter spell, we can kind of get around the sprite there. Yep, that clears the way. Get their 3rd land, they can actually start playing things onto the board. Thinking about this attack from them, I'd be tempted to double block if they did. And we're just kind of getting through all their cards in hand now. The Deadly Dispute for the Shambling Gas is a great draw. So let's play out Freebooter. I think this is quite likely to get itself spell-stuttered. And with a storm count of 3, we'll just buy back. Oh no, there's nothing. Just to keep moving the game forward, I'm going to attack with this Ghast. So it looks like we might be trying to Deadly Dispute again. As I say, we get a lot of value off of the Reaping the Graveses, which it looks like we'll be getting back 3 creatures at the end of this turn. So because we get a lot of value off of the Reaping the Graves, I actually quite like my my chances as the game goes on, as long as we just avoid taking too much damage from random flyers. Hopefully they attack and we can put some more creatures in our graveyard. That wasn't quite what I meant, but we can Deadly Dispute to put a creature in the graveyard, draw 2, and use the treasure. So that'll be currently we're getting about 4 creatures. We've only got 2 in here, so we just have to draw 2 cards. What a shame. We'll take the land. And get back 3 creatures. So big greedy taking the land, focusing on trying to play quickly. Carrion Feeder is great, and I think this will have just about wrapped it up. So we can show off one of the things I was talking about. With the Reaping the Graves in hand, a lot of these cards generate a storm count, generate a treasure. That's funny. Always yield, always yield. So we're just going to make all of our squad very big. So 1 treasure, 2 treasures, 3 treasures, back for freebooter, sack the freebooter, so storm count is 5, there's these 4 already in the graveyard, so I'm going to sacrifice these because I'll be picking them up anyway. So again, trying to play quickly, I've rushed a bit. It would have been better to leave up 1 black mana so that we could redo this chain in this turn. But the point is we're trying to play quick and show off the cool effect in this deck. So we'll just discard the swamp. And you can see we've got a 7/7, a 12/11, 2 flying blockers. Even with a snap, we've got the Reaping the Grave, the 4th Reaping the Graves on the top, so we can afford to go again in our next turn. But yeah, ideally, we should have been picking off their creatures with the Shambling Ghasts. But as I say, it's a fun deck, and that's I guess what I'm hoping to show off on the last turn. Hopefully by the end of the league I'll get used to recording and actually, if I say, playing correctly whilst trying to talk through some plays. So to start off, I'm just going to attack with both. I guess it is worth playing out creatures first. So I'll play the Sages. Each of these gives us 2 sacrifice effects. We'll just keep on going. I think it's incredibly likely they have a snap in hand. Those 6 cards have got to be something. Hopefully we're kind of, let's say, overpowering them here, where it doesn't matter too much what the actual cards are. We can just get through them all. Quite surprised if they're blocking both of these. That must be a good sign, but kind of makes you question if they've not got snap. Is it an Echoing Truth? That makes sense. No, it is a snap, so I just chose to block first. I think that the chance they have an Echoing Truth is quite low. I'm just going to let that go. Okay. And let's just pass the turn. So obviously they can attack and proc and injure, but I think hopefully they're going to run out of time. this, the Reaping the Graves type of effect, so they found a very, very good against the blue decks for their trying to interact with counter spells. You have a bit more time, but having essentially seeing 3 Storm count in your hand, there's not a way they'll be able to counter a specific what's the effect? Kind of Gravedigger effect. Storm count against a counter spell is kind of the big advantage of this over something like a Blood Fountain or other way to return creatures from the graveyard to your hand. Goes to the end step, so we're just kind of close our eyes and attack again. See what it is that they've got. They have to invest mana before combat, and we're likely to resolve our spells. Happy enough with that. And again, managed to use up 10 minutes already, down to 50 minutes on the clock. So prioritising, playing quickly, trying to get out of a time scramble, or avoid getting into a time scramble. And I'm very confident based on the hand that we'll get there in the end. The opponent was saying about their court lands early on. Whether they're flooded now, I don't know. Let's the juice like this, it's fine. Saving their miscreant. Play this out first. So I reckon this has nearly got to be a spell starter now. Here it is. And I think essentially I don't really care because I've drawn the other feeder. So play out the feeder, take the opportunity to kill this sprite. I guess this is back into this opportunity. I should probably just swipe the board. No. So tempted to sacrifice these 3 mana. We can sacrifice this, get an extra treasure, and kind of go through this chain again. But I don't think it's going to matter too much. We've got the feeder to untap a blocker. Make a flying blocker. It's untapped by sacrificing the Infestation Sage. We can block here and sack. Don't think I played that particularly well. Obviously drawing the 3 Reaping the Graves, very good for this matchup. It was just trying to play some cards and kind of get through via brute force there. So thinking about sideboarding, we've got the 2 Fangs as kind of a life gain effect, but obviously we've seen they've got snaps, so they tend to run quite a lot of these. So it's a bit of a trade-off for having the additional snuff out. I'll probably go up to 3. I'll leave the 4th out. Maybe that's being... maybe that's playing scared. I think we'll have to mulligan this, will we? It's another hand where we kind of have to draw the right cards. But I'm a bit worried this is going to be too slow, and the snuff outs, we can't really afford to pitch them both for Pitch them both for life. You know what? I'm just going to keep greedy. If we draw a 1 mana sacrifice, kind of a jump that we can sacrifice, we'll be happy. Yep. Yeah, that's something that we can sack. Pick off a ninja here if they go for it. Oh, yes. Obviously, if this was one mana ninja, it's quite risky. They could either bounce it, sorry, they could either spell pierce, or they could. Oh, great draw, great deck building. So with the 1 mana ninja, they could spell pierce. They could have another one that they could sacrifice, whereas 2 mana ninjas are a nice clean snuff out target. So Reaping the Graves here don't look quite as good yet. That's something we can block. And again, we'll just be trying to, I guess, get us back into the same situation we were before, where we run both sides, kind of use a lot of resources out, and then our Reaping the Graves in the late game will tide us through. So I'll be blocking anything that's any attack that's made, and then hopefully we can snuff out for mana. Pick off whatever ninja they flash in. That's interesting, but I'll let that go. So this is an extra, having the combination of the drum and the token gives us extra mana closer towards the insight. If we sacrificed it, it would be if we chump blocked or sacrificed early, it would be further away from. Play a beetle. If they have a way of countering this, we'll just get a small Reaping the Graves for 2 off. Shame this unlocks their flying attack. Shame this unlocks their flying attackers, but we know they've got the intruder, so the blocking wouldn't be great anyway. I'm going to prioritise resolving the Infestation Sage over the Mortician Beetle. We can put this in front of the hacker to prevent them getting the loot, even if they have the if we know they have the intruder. That's fine. They're still getting value by turning it into a 1/1 flyer that we can trade with. See how they resolve the scry. Top, bottom. So a choice here is whether we want to try and get the sneak the insight off this turn. tempting. And let's just block this for some value. I think I'm going to go for that. Again, I think the likelihood is that they have a way to counter the effect, but we'll still be growing our beetle big enough to block. And then this is again one of the things I like about this deck, is it's very difficult for somebody to play against because there's just so many odd effects and creatures growing out of nowhere. So again, you can see this is quite a greedy, let's say, block. See what it is they have. Looks like a ninja. So we're priced into Eviscerators Inciting. Signed up when we chose to block. I'll sack this, try and kill this ninja. I have interaction, we do have the snuff out here. This is what I was kind of trying to get at earlier. Let's see what this is. Snap. So they snap our beetle and not their guy, which is interesting. So we can let... I shouldn't have said yes. This is still the stack? No, I shouldn't have said yes. I was thinking that we'd be able to see what we draw before they untap. That's my bad. See if they entrap the draw too. No. Prioritising the 4 life over there, getting to draw here. Seen most of these before. I think I'm very happy with that. So again, we've only drawn 2 creatures, so our Reaping the Graves will only be for 2 cards, which is a bit short. And we've got the opportunity to snuff out here, which will probably go after the Spell Stutter. I think I'm going to let them have the other card and just take the chance to kill the Spell Stutter Sprite. So if they have an injury, they can't get that value. Maybe this is also still being greedy. Go up to 4. So I think I'd be glad that I picked off the Sprite because it stops the stops obviously buying back that counter spell from Sand Fairy Seer. Currently only got the 2 flying, this and the Fairy Seer in the hand as flying attackers, but we're drawing a lot of cards. So we can get back both creatures. So it's a bit anemic. So I think again, definitely would have made some misplays. One of these spots, as I kind of said quite early on, there's a big one with this that you do have to draw the right kind of combination of spells and creatures here. I think if we'd have hit another couple of creatures, we could have sacrificed value. Another Infestation Sage could have really helped come up the ground, but let's see, have us dead to a ninja. We have a scry. I mean, Deadly Dispute can kind of make anything happen. Just block up. See if they put us out of that misery. Unfortunately not. There's the Deadly Dispute. So I don't know quite what the series of draws will look like that could potentially save us from here, but easier to click through and see. Sack the treasure. Those aren't it. So choices there. Obviously, we did board out two of our kind of creatures that we can sacrifice for value. Then we're a bit short. Tempted by the Mesmeric Fiends. Don't think we've seen anything that looks particularly like a sideboard card from them that's going to change how we have to play. Trying to decide between running it back or cutting one or two of the Mortician Beetles. We'll do this. It's slightly different. Obviously, changing one card, very unlikely to affect it. Hopefully you don't draw the Fiend. But why not? And there he was. This hand looks great. So we'll put back the Fangs. It's one of the things, if we draw it at the right time, it can be great, but obviously there's a lot of wrong times to draw it as well. I'm going to lead on the drum here to try and avoid getting spell pierced. And then we'll just Infestation Sage immediately sacrifice the Village Rites. Turn off auto yields if they had the Intruder. I think with what we've got in our hand, if they did, we'd be priced into Snuff Outing. Kind of glad they didn't. But if we find a spot, we can get rid of the turn the drum into some cards. That'd be good. And with them being stuck on one, if they look to be stuck on one land, then we'll reckon that we'll be able to find a point where they tap out of it. Okay, so they actually do have two land. Do have another land. They probably have 6 through their turn by accident. The second land. Hit them with the rough again. Show how empathetic we are. Don't think we can afford to just play the drum out. But you get a value off of the spell statue or something would be quite sad. But see, there's a lot of things we might rather have in our hand. These are kind of bunch of currently looking dead cards. So I'm putting quite a lot of priority on the deadly, on holding the deadly dispute, holding up our mana hopefully makes them more reluctant to play quickly, buys us time to draw out of it. I wish I'd have managed to get my stuff on the end step in a bit quicker there. I really don't want this going back to their hand. They've got 6 mana up. That's quite a lot. I think I'm just going to fire off a Deadly Dispute now, try and get them tap some mana and get a Snuff Out off. Yeah. I guess we'll keep that on the stack. This is going to be an expensive turn. Almost rather they interact with the Snuff Out now. Oh boy. Well, we have the Unexpected Fangs to try and gain us some life back. I think I'm just in for a penny here and trying to take all of these down. Jeez. And have that. This resolves. It's not great either. Go to our turn before we worry about what we do with this fight. Starting off with drawing 2 is not too bad. I think again, I really don't want them getting value off of this fight. I want to keep the treasure around so that I've got something to sacrifice to this. But boy, do I not love this position. See, depending on what they've got, there's some things where we could still get there, but you can draw a creature we can sacrifice away. That would be quite good. Playing out Ninja now. Interesting. Yeah, they're just trying to put some pressure back onto us. I mean, very happy with these draws. So play the Sage, play a drum. Play an Infiltrator. And now we're at the point where they've seen a bunch of different cards over the course of the 3 games. If they can piece together quite what the interaction we have, it could be very good for them. do we want to sacrifice this and get the Corrupted Conviction countered? I don't hate it. Guess we can do it off of the do it off of this. Keep the treasure around. Not thrilled to see another sprite. This sprite even makes me tempted to leave this back as a blocker for next turn. If they invest mana in a ninja, hopefully means we'll be able to get a fangs off on this and gain some life back. That's interesting. And they've got this to tap us down next turn. That's fine, he says, it's fine. Being quite precious on my life total here, I think I'm only like to get one swing off with this, 5 life. So expecting this is going to be tapped down, I'm going to hope to block here. This is kind of fine because I'm going to keep my 1/1 counters. Oh, and I keep my lifelink counter as well, that's very good. Missed that. Looks like the opponent might have 2. Choices on what to do. I'm tempted to just fire off the snuff out. Obviously they have a high likelihood of having a way to counter this. And we're not declared blockers yet, so they can't ninjutsu. Yep. Don't tap this down. Tempted, I think, so this is a situation we might need to draw Reaping the Gravestone to get back into it. So I'm kind of tempted to leave this back as a storm count. Not sure if we can afford to do that. Well, this has to be jumping in front of the Moon Circuit Hacker. I think we don't attack. If they try and start killing us only through the air, then we can block here. And they're going to risk getting very slow. See what they do. This might be a difficult one to puzzle out, so it's only going to be the flyers, so we're going to try and pick off the spell setter. Ninja over here. Again, this is kind of tricky because they'll be able to tap this down. So we're going to need to draw something. Oh, they didn't tap it again. That's very strange. So, do we just attack here? I've not quite puzzled it out, but I think we have to. We'd be then. I think it's so likely they have a snap. Attacking here means we kind of make them use it. That's my read. It's going to cost a lot of cards though. Again, we'll see whether that's right or wrong. I think obviously there's a decent chance that if they have a snap, they'll just bury us under cards rather than having to worry about killing us quickly through damage. We'll block up. I'll try and finish this off. I think the gas is going to have to do. Not thrilled about it. So because they play that instead of ninjaing, I'm going to attack again. Again, this idea of getting in either life points or a blocker from snap. This gives them a chance to loot. Yeah. Now they have to tap this. Now they tap this down. So again, I'm kind of glad that I did attack, but I'm back into trying to hit a. I'll be trying to hit something off of a Deadly Dispute. Again, because it's a storm count mode, it's the start of most of our good draws. But again, not quite it. Interesting game, one that I don't think I'll ever want to watch back. That looks like I must have made a million different mistakes. So, start game 2, on the play again. We'll be keeping, kind of hoping to draw a better thing to sacrifice than Carrion Feeder, but if worst comes to us, we'll sack that anyway. Still reading a bit of that last match. I feel like there definitely must be multiple ways we could have snuck out a victory there. Just some awkward hands where you're kind of weighing up the amount of damage that you're happy to take. I was about to say I'd draw a 1-drop, but that wasn't really the 1-drop I was hoping to draw. We got the auto yield in time, get to sacrifice this for some value, and hit a greedy freebooter, which is a better thing to sacrifice for value. Oh, so if the first one wasn't kind of taxing enough, trying to work out the lines, straight back into another. Do we snag a ninja again? Oh, I mentioned this in the previous one. I'm not going to snuff out here. It's a bit too greedy. If they've got another hacker or spell pierce, again they can try and we're going to block. They've got the sack for the -2/-0 guy. We've only just seen him already. Intruder. I don't even. Okay. Maybe they've got 2. so they guarantee getting an injury connection in as well. We're going to be trying to block yep. We're trying to sack. We will have a treasure floating around, so I'm going to keep this. And then we get to snuff out. We've only got the one fairy. So we've got a choice here. We could try and just get back these two creatures, but I think we have to try and hope to do better. Looks like we will. And then now we're into a world where 4 creatures with a Reap in the Graves is kind of a great place to be. Just trying to think this through. I think I'm going to block like this and then likely be sacrificing this value. Is that any good? If we just keep this guy home. That sounds better, doesn't it? Or do we block like this? That's better. Oh, it took us a bit of time, but we got there. Jitsu back the Infiltrator. Expecting they're going to play the Intruder out. Yep. So we've got a choice here. Do we sacrifice the Ghast? Or do we sacrifice the... oh, we can do this without using the second mana. Like using the treasure. So again, they might well have a counterspell here. That's fine. We'll keep this on top, just because it's a storm count. But we'll be getting back Freebooter. Is that better? I think it's fine. So, just a small one, get back Freebooter. Probably another Freebooter. The feeder. I'll get back the feeder. Just chuck this into play. We've got some creatures that can dive underneath the ninjas. They can have as many of their... again, we're kind of trying to allow them to have as many of their combat tricks as they want, and we're just going to be slightly out-traded, lose site value on the trades, and then still get there in the end off of Reaping the Graves for value. So we'll block up. Treasures from both. Scry that to the bottom. Feeder. So a slightly interesting choice here for what creature we play first. If any, maybe we keep back the treasure and they counterspell. I don't think it matters too much. Bit tricky to see which one they countered. They're keeping the feeder out. That's interesting. I think I'm going to play out the Ghast. Oh no. The advantage of keeping them back in hand is that they are, as I mentioned previously, storm count for the next turn. But by keeping this back if they attack, I might be able to put a -1/-1 counter on the spell status display. Don't get a ninja for value, which is great. I think I messed up by not playing the insight first. Yeah, should have played the insight first to avoid getting, by playing the freebooter, obviously I can't keep up 2 mana for the spell pierce. That was countered. Hopefully they've got no attacks. Interesting choice in Barrymore, I think. I guess I'd cycle it. Infestation Sage. Just play anything. So there's some interesting spots where you can essentially rely on the opponent to build you a storm count to play your Reap in the Graves. I was kind of tempted with the holding 3 mana up if they were going to play some spells in their turn, but see settled or not. This seems great. No attacks, and then in their end step, not before, we're going to start playing some spells. It's the first storm count. So we've currently got 1, 2, 3 creatures in the graveyard. Hope they do it attacking. I'm going to put the 4th one in for the Deadly Dispute. So if we Deadly Dispute the Sage and it resolves, we get the treasure. Otherwise we need the freebooter to die. I think I'm happy with sacking the freebooter. I'm going to bottom that. I'm not too worried about having the Beetles. Essentially, we already have our 1 creature that's going to go big. Having another one doesn't seem like it's going to help us too much. Again, get quite a lot of value off of the Reap in the Grave, so we're just going to essentially go over the top of them by running them out of cards, running them out of resource. Doesn't matter too much the order I play things. If they have a counter spell, we can use it. Oh, good luck us. We've built our board, and now we're just going to keep attacking and see what it is they have. So again, I mean, it's a very powerful effect when you can rebuild like that. When it all works as intended. So I have a pause here as we try and work out whether they forgot we have a flying blocker, or if we're going to have to sacrifice something to kill this. It's fine. So choices on sideboarding. Again, I think I like having the snuff outs to stop getting blown out by spell stutters. That looks fine. We've got start. Once you've got a few creatures, like say 3 or 4 creatures in the graveyard that you can sacrifice for value, kind of when the deck really starts hitting its stride. having an opening hand that's got 2 of them already and a few draw spells is great. I think I'm going to play out the Sage first. If this wasn't a... no, if it's not a fairy, I think... Sorry, because they can turn it into not a fairy, turn it into a ninja, I think it's better to play the Ghast. But which of these do you want to sacrifice now? I think I might just sacrifice the Ghast and take out the... I don't know. Let's sacrifice the Sage? No. Sacrifice the Ghast, take out the Seer. Just stare down here. As we're a deck that's kind of good at making some big creatures, getting to use a stat quite cheaply. Not the end of the world. Not too upset about. They only loot, they don't have another ninja. Do straw 2. So we'll be trying to block again, and then I think we'll be trying to deadly dispute our gun away if they have an interaction. It's kind of our preferred. I guess we do the insight. So insight, obviously gets us benefit. So it's deadly dispute gets us benefit. So it's slightly better if the insight gets countered. That's what they have. But actually, I think the payoff of getting the treasure if they don't have a counter spell for this. That way. No, it's too likely they do. So between this spell pierces, sprites, and so on, so I started on insight as the sacrifice thing of deadly dispute. Just another ninja. So I've got 2. So I've only got 2 creatures in the bin. Beat would be a 3rd. At that point, I think we'd be happy to start reaping. Let's play this and see where we go. So I'll be trying to double block here. Block both ninjas. Kind of glad that we get to. We're going to get to sacrifice something to try and draw. Although actually, yeah. So if we dispute now. Make it all 3. So this is currently going to only be good to reaping back 2 creatures. I don't think we can afford to risk kind of falling further behind. They have it's only a sprite for 2. Looks like a mistake. And then, which of these do we play? I think we play the Sage. Again, we've been facing down a kind of a constant pressure here. It would have been nice if we'd have hit a few more creatures over the draw spells, but obviously as the game goes on, you get a chance to get through these. We're keeping up with the rate at which we're going through our deck. I'm going to be happy to try and sacrifice a ninja here. Sacrifice the infiltrator to kill a ninja, but if they give us a chance to block here, save the damage and keep our guy around. So they pick up the sprite, currently only have the 1 mana. Haven't played a land for the turn. Obviously got some kind of tension if they have a land they want to loot it away. No, they loot away a sprite. I'm surprised by that. So we're just going to be drawing a card here whilst we can. So the feeder doesn't actually get us any card back, but we can get back 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, I don't think we can attack yet. Down the infiltrator. Take 3 this turn. If you don't block the ninja, the depowers. Instead, just try and pick off the creatures we can. Which I think I'm happy with. Although we take extra damage on this turn, I'm thinking that we kind of reduce the number of creatures, reduce their eventual clock. I'll play the feeder first. Very nice to have a counter that will work. Sack this carrion feeder. hopefully we can stem the bleeding from here. So we can, say, block the sprite and have a sacrifice, take out another creature. If we're doing that, we've got a choice. We want to do it off a corrupted conviction. I think I would. Block. Oh, I hope we get the stopping in time. We can sack for some value. So, building up a bit of storm count. Bottom this, I think it's too dear. Make a 1/1 blocker. Get back 4 of these, we'll leave the carrion feeder. Yeah. Opponent quite rightly asking how we have it again. And we'll attack for 11. So, again, remembering in the intro I tried to say this was an aggro deck. Let's see where this is the first time I got to attack with a creature. As it feels like. So, I'm going to sacrifice the gas to try and take out the sprite now. Well, no chance of that getting ninjutsu'd. Attack with the others, and then we'll think about attacking the infestation sages. I didn't realise I didn't attack with the feeder last time. It's just free real estate. So, again, interesting game. Opponent's right. We did draw a lot of our Reaping the Graves. It's a really good card in the matchup. Hopefully it was an interesting match to watch. This one I think I've got slightly more chance of watching back. A bit less hectic, having a bit more time on the clock at the end. Jumping into round 3, and we're on the draw this time. Had a bit of time in between this and the previous matches. one of the things that I mentioned again at the start is there's a lot of choice in how we build this deck. So we're only on 3 infestation stage, and depending on your choice, for example, there's Fear of Lost Teeth or Footlight Fiend. There's a lot of creatures that sacrifice in black to do 1 damage. It would obviously help out against the kind of mono blue Fae matchup quite a lot. So there's one of these bit of hedge against what you think you'll play against in the league lottery. This hand is the type of hand that I kind of expect to draw playing this deck, and hopefully we can show off this the idea of kind of having the decks being just generating a quick clock, and see where we go from there. Okay, mono white is not a matchup I have a great time against. We've got some cards post board, but Prismatic Strands is quite a beating, as is Thraben Charm to take out your graveyard. But they don't have any plays on turn 1 or 2, which seems quite unusual. Or turn 3. Alarm bells are starting to ring. Well, we're just gonna build ourselves a clock once we wait and see what it is that the opponent's got going on. So I mentioned with the Reaping the Graves, you can use the guys that sacrifice and make a treasure. In this situation, because there's a chance we can get so far ahead on tempo, I'm going to do so even without that kind of backup option. We're going to build a very quick, very tall board here. And we've got the Shambling Gas on top and some Deadly Disputes to draw back into it. So this is kind of, in some ways I think this is what you'd kind of expect as the nut draw to be, in terms of making the quick clock. Well, here's our 13 damage on turn 3. We've got 5/5 left. I'm assuming they're on Fogs. No, so it looks like it will be the white weenie deck. Just not drawn that half of it yet. Quite confused. Yeah, this looks like it might be a bit slow. I guess we've got a choice here on the Shambling Gas as to whether we try and pick one of these off. I think with the 2 Deadly Disputes we'll save it back so that we've got something to sacrifice. Kind of expecting them to strands here, so they've got a chance to kind of stay ahead of the curve with a Thraben Charm. No. So another Screech. This shouldn't work anymore because we can sacrifice the gas to pick off that guy. Right, went the wrong way. I'd be very interested to know what hand they kept that was. Play another creature we're priced into sacking the Shambling Gas to take out the bird token. They don't, so we're going to get to untap. So the drum's going to be effectively free. I didn't have drums in my builds for quite a while, but I've been quite impressed with them. Another thing that's quite neat with them is giving you the option to play multiple colours. There's quite a few different colours have quite strong effects that you could smash into. Expecting there's a Thraben Charm somewhere. No. the chance of drawing a land. I'll sack now. Yeah, an interesting game. I don't really know what they were, what hand they kept there. Then obviously having the prismatic strands kept them around for a bit longer. So against white, we've got bottom unions which can pick up the strands and battle screeches. I've been kind of tempted by unexpected fangs, but I think I'll probably keep them out and just keep the two that we've got main deck. And then because prismatic strand is such a beating, I actually quite like the idea of bringing in some number of mesmeric fiends. I think the snuff outs have probably got to go. Again, the Reaping the Graves potentially a lot weaker because of the likelihood they have the 4th Raven Charms, but I'm not quite sure we can afford to cut them completely. Interesting, they've not seen any in game 1. I think I'll cut and eviscerate his insight. Is kind of the worst sacrifice effect that we've got. And then if I cut 2 of the Reaping the Graves to try and I'll cut 2 of the Reaping Graves to try and respect Raven Charms, and bring in like this. Maybe leave out another fiend. Again, in mono white, they tend to draw so many cards and kind of things that just replace themselves that I'm not too worried they're going to run out of things that we can hit. The other option that I tend to cut quite often is 1 or 2 of the carrion feeders. Because we've got so many of these sacrifice effects to draw instead. We'll go like this for now and see if we change our mind. So this looks good. Play up the Ghast as a kind of a threat to block. And I think we'll try and make good on it if they do attack. Again, them discarding a strand quite early. Hopefully we've got to find ourselves a spot where we can pick that off. Gonna kind of play out the cheap creatures this turn and then hold back the Infiltrator. If we invest 2 mana in the Infiltrator and it gets Raven Charmed, I'll feel a bit worse about falling behind to the damage from the Fiend's Informant. Trying to work out which ought to block. I think if they attack the Informant, I'll block with the Freebooter and the Sage. That lets us make ourselves a treasure back. treasure back to pump the Infiltrator with. Trying to think with this play, I think I'm just going to play out everybody now then. The idea being if they have got a Thraven Charm, kill our Infiltrator, we're more likely to get some value off the Reaping the Graves. Again, I'd be quite happy to just block kind of inefficiently. Now they're taken to the skies. Okay. We've got up to 5 toughness, 5 power when it comes to blockers. So if we were to attack with our Infiltrator, which I think we're definitely trying to find a way to do, how would we sack? We'd Deadly Dispute gives us, well, 1 sacrifice, the treasure gives us a 2nd, then we sacrifice gives us a 3rd, and then the Conviction gives us a 4th. So that gives us it gives us 5 power. 1 if we take out the bird over here. Can the beetle attack? Not quite as easily. So I'm going to start with picking off one of the birds. Let's see what we draw. Okay, that's pretty good. So Swamp Carrion Feeder, sack these 2, Reaping the Graves for 3. We don't get to pay anybody else. And we're going to be taking quite a lot of damage on the swing back. There we get 1 blocker. We Deadly Dispute the Freebooter. It's essentially mana neutral. We'll be taking 6, 9 damage, so we can't really do a lot about it. I guess we get the... Oh, there's a lot of maths involved in this. I'm liking the idea of just trying to go big. Now, so whilst the shields are down for any Thraven Charms, we'll be able to make this very large, this respectable. And we've got some more creatures as a kind of follow-up for next turn. I don't think we're going to win the race against the Strands unless we draw something, but the drum isn't it. think we attack with the beetle, so double block. We've got a choice: do we sacrifice the insect token or do we sacrifice the feeder to itself? Again, we need to get the damage in whilst we can. So I think I'm sacrificing the feeder to itself, aren't I? So this is good, and they don't know about treasure. So we're going to get back 3 creatures. And kind of force them to use their strands. So as long as we're not just dead, which I don't think we are. We've got a shot of killing them the next turn, just from 20. Again, there's a lot of just odd interactions on this guy triggering off of any permanent creatures and treasures. Unfortunately, not a great sign for us that they don't have a permanent strands. We don't want anything going to exile if we can avoid it, so we'll sacrifice that. Okay. Doesn't look awful. So we'll see whether they've read that this can't block. We can trade off a bird token, take 4. I guess one of our best outcomes is that they try and stretch the prismatic strands to the end, and then we hit one of our pieces of graveyard hate. That's a good Rotten Reunion exile effect. Their turn to do some maths. Based on the number of creatures we have in hand, I think they'd be hard pressed to stop us being able to just keep attacking with a feeder and beat it every turn. So if they leave everybody back, then we can hopefully put them in a point where we attack with 1 in order to kill it profitably. They have to strand if we keep the other. guess the last thing I mentioned is, again, there's plenty of options for this mono black deck, depending on who or what decks you play against. Previously, I've been trying Death's Head Buzzard, which is a 3-mana 2/1. When it dies, all creatures get -1/-1, just as a thing to try and pick up some of these bird tokens out of mono white. So I think we'll be essentially playing out our hand, trying to look good and scary, and then attacking. I guess that they will. They can hold off on prismatic strands in until we actually put lethal. Out. So if we Deadly Dispute now, I think I like that. We're not going to be short on ways to chump block. Don't want another feeder. Not quite sure what they're thinking through here, whether they any graveyard hit I have, they would be able to respond with the strands. So maybe they're just getting a drink or something. We get to draw 2. So on this board, I'm just going to play out all 3 of these, and then we can always get back a treasure by sacking one of the ghasts. We can attack for 10. Obviously, each of these. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8 with the 8 using the token. So we would have lethal if they didn't have the strands. And if they chose not to block. So I'm not going to go all in. I think based on the 2 gas that we've got, we're going to be able to stop them from killing us particularly quickly. So I'll kind of spot myself as having 2 turns to kill them, and then this turn will be improved by having a lot of blockers. So let's see what they do. I think I'm tempted to try and eat this leftover bird token. Or trade for the leftover bird token. trying to work out whether I want to sacrifice a guy to get the to use the Deadly Dispute for this, but we've got the treasures there. The treasure we could use to cast the dispute is equally valid as a thing to sacrifice. And then we're going to get ourselves to a point where we've got 2 lethal attackers, so it's going to be very resource intensive for them to chomp. So yeah, we can untap. Deadly Dispute away the treasure token, so we'll be seeing 3 cards next turn, attacking with 2 lethal creatures. As I say, I guess an ideal situation is that they try to chump block to keep their strands around as long as possible when we hit a piece of graveyard hate. I think that's probably unlikely. They're going to want to be able to keep their kind of wide draw presence. We'll see. It's another good draw. So let's start off by just drawing 2, see what our options are. MonoUterror not looking its best here. So you can play out the Sage. Play this out before going to combat. This is probably our favourite thing to sacrifice over the Shambling Guests. I think probably going to end up playing them as MonoUterror just as a 2-mana 1/1. I feel quite bad if they kind of get lazy and sacrifice the clue early. So I'm quite susceptible to F6ing at unfortunate times and getting caught with a response that I was supposed to make. I guess it happened earlier on with the Spellstutter Sprite. I could have what's the word? Could have snuff outed with a bit cheaper. I don't know if they're split between 2 things or just trying to work out what's going on. As I mentioned, there's a lot of moving parts. We'll be moving into hopefully not getting ahead of ourselves and being 3-0. The first Mono Blue match I put down partly to trying to record at the same time. I think there were some unfortunate draws, really some good draws on our part. Interesting they double block. As I mentioned, I think we didn't hit a piece of graveyard hate, but this was. I think this was on our good end of outcomes. Maybe kicking themselves as MonoUterror comes through. ideal situation, they draw a prismatic strands and we can get that straight away will be fantastic. I guess there's a choice as to whether we want to sacrifice this in response to the trigger and take a card, seeing it's kind of random. We could just leave this in play. Just an extra 1/1. Mono White doesn't tend to play that much removal. And then I guess what does a 1/1 do for us? That's, okay, so they do strands, that's fine. Maybe this implies they do have a strands in the hand. Well, we'll take a look, see and see. So hold control, then Mesmeric Fiend. So in response to the trigger, see what we can see. Just planes. Got my hopes up. Treasure's not really doing anything for us, so we'll turn this into another Shambling Ghast. Just give us more options if we can pick off the Unicorn or something. Again, this deck makes combat math very complicated very quickly. But it's nice in that you can often just attack, and then depending on what they settle on, choose the option that punishes them the most. You kind of often get to make the last decision. And then with extra cards from your hand, for example, to make counters or sacrifice other creatures, just you're really benefiting from having the additional information on your opponent. Just potentially seeing that on the time disparity. It's an interesting choice here. My gut is that if we don't kill anything, they're going to have quite a hard time actually attacking. They'd only be able to attack for these two. Sorry, they need to lead back 2 creatures. If they only lead back 1, we sacrifice some Shambling Ghast and kill them. So they can essentially only attack with 2. This is the only one that's going to get in for any damage. I'm fine with them spending 4 mana to do 3 damage. So they choose to attack with everyone. Oh, the vigilance, I'm being an idiot. Yeah. That explains a bit more. So I take 5 if I triple block the Unicorn, and then just block one of the Inspectors, and go straight to damage. And then this way we've got the chance of killing the other Inspector with the death triggers. I think I like this. Take 5. Sure. Take off that, make ourselves a 1/1. take a look at their planes. Yeah. So hopefully this is enough. Cool. So on to 2 and 1. Gonna jump back in for round 4 of this league. Another keep, a few creatures we can sacrifice, and a few draw spells, sacrifice them 2. And the draw, and let's see what we're up against. So 2-1 so far, split games against Mono Blue. Probably could have won the first one if played a bit better. Surprisingly beat Mono White. Kept some loose hands, I think. Ooh, might be another Mono Blue, whether this is Terror or another Fairies. I'll play a Sage first. I should have been aghast when I were in a bit of trouble against Sprites. Considering that, I'm just going to hold up the Dispute. I guess we can attack for 1 if they have a Tramplash and an Intruder. Don't do anything here. I think they're almost guaranteed to be on Fairies. The Blue Terror decks not having any cantrips the first 2 turns is a bit too unlikely. So playing a Dispute here does run straight into a Spell Pierce. I'm kind of talking myself into just sacking from the right. Really wish I played the Shambling Ghast. I think I can afford to sacrifice this. Have a spell to Sprite. We can hopefully play Ghast and then sacrifice and kill that. Get our value there. Yep. So we'll be able to pick this off with ability by sacking the Ghast on our next turn. So we'll be, we can stop them returning a ninja. And we'll cycle this Baron more. Based on the fact that we'll be drawing what's this, essentially 4 cards to try and hit another land. Great. So play out Shambling Ghast, see what we do. I'm actually tempted now to just play out the feeder, the freebooter, and this way we might be able to kind of get ahead and start ahead of the clock this game and start being the ones to put on damage. I won't attack on the will I? No, I won't attack on the chance it gets them to use up a snap or something on the insect token. Great. So 3 matches against Mono Blue Fairies in this league. That's quite a few. I'm going to play out this Baron more based on the fact I'm expecting to draw quite a few more cards. It might put us out of the range of a Spell Pierce later on. If I attack with a Carrion Feeder, the worst case would be that they have the Intruder. We could get our creature up to 3 power maybe, without feeling too bad about it, which would 3 power and give a creature -1/-1. So we'd essentially be able to trade off the Sprite. I think realistically we'll attack with the feeder, If they flash in an intruder, we'll probably have to deadly dispute away the feeder. But we'll see what they go for. Again, there's quite a few things for them to consider. A few tricks. Again, and being on the road deck, I may not know quite what's going on, and quite what we've got going on. So they just let us get in for one. I'm happy with that outcome. I'm just going to turn this village rights into 2 cards. We can afford to pay for a spell pierce. I'll keep the beetle. Double beetles. So it looks like pretty soon we'll get to a point where it's quite hard for them to attack on the ground. We can quite easily get up to 3 counters on some of our bugs. No attacks, no blocks. We're going to have to see what we draw as to where we want to go next. Drawing a freebooter for the turn. If we play this and they have a sprite they counter, I don't think that's... We'll still have plenty of mana to hold up for other things. So we've got a choice. We can hold this back until we wait for a chance where we can storm off with a Reap in the Graves. We could attack with just the 2 beetles and the feeder. Obviously it feels like playing the freebooter gives us another scry. If they don't have a effect, it's something that we can sacrifice a bit more cheaply. If we can get these 3 creatures up to 3 power, I feel like we'll be in a very good position if it does resolve. I think I'm going to be greedy and play it. If they have a counterspell for this, I'd be very happy. It's really only the sprite that's punishing. That's the sprite. So, a choice now, do we want to try and deadly dispute whilst this is on the stack? So if we were to deadly dispute away the treasure, we wouldn't have enough mana to pay for spell pierce. I think we're just going to try and find a better spot and prioritise resolving the try to find a spot to resolve the dispute. So we can sacrifice the Shambling Gas pretty happily to pick off one of the sprites. So I think I'm just going to attack and get some pressure on. If they have a... again, the intruder, it does make the combat mass potentially quite tricky. But I think I'm fairly happy with this outcome. I'll sack a Ghast in response to try and take out a sprite. This is mostly to get some more power on the Mortician Beetles. So we need to get power on the Mortician Beetles, and we need to be able to take out a sprite so that they can't ninjutsu in a ninja using the extra flyer. Tops both, so be happy to block if they do attack. They're rightly going to hold back. And then I won't play the Dispute into the open mana. Draw a Swamp for the turn. We will attack with our 2 Beetles. Be happy if we can just get a free creature. Mutagenic Growth is interesting. So we've got a choice now as to whether we sack the insect to try and... so if we sack the insect, they can't counter that effect. We'd get in for 3 this turn and get a trade here. Obviously then we're losing our flying blocker. The other option is that we Deadly Dispute away the Mortician Beetle now. The 3 cards in hand, likely to run it into a counter spell, and that kind of loses us our chance to get a Storm count. If we do hit a play Deadly Dispute, they counter, we'll be getting back 3 creatures already. So I kind of told myself to just try and be patient and hold this now. Now we'll be able to flip a ninja, but as long as it's not flipped off of a sprite, that might not be the end of the world. They only attack with a Seer, that's a bit of a bind. So happily get to block the sprite now. Get a ninja in. Replay the Seer. So the second Deadly Dispute is a pretty good draw. Play out the Swamp first. I'm going to do this before combat, see what we hit. Let's see what we get out of their hand. And then you'll notice this is why we're playing the Vault of Whispers, so we've got a chance to sacrifice land if we have to. That's interesting. They don't have a counterspell or a sprite. I think I'm going to Deadly Dispute away the Vault of Whispers now. Keep the treasure token up. If we were to sacrifice a treasure token, we wouldn't be able to pay for a Spell Pierce. So we'll play it this way. And we double Spell Pierce. That's interesting. essentially play our hand. See where they decide to counterspell this. Oh, back to a point where we're attacking and just trying to get some pressure on them. Give a creature -2/-0, see how they decide if they want to block. So we have a choice now. Obviously having a beetle back to block the Mooncycle Hacker is quite nice. Carrion Feeder can't block, so I'm tempted to sack the Carrion Feeder now to essentially trade a Carrion Feeder for a Fairy Seer. Mutagenic Growth again. Can't tell I was expecting the first one, and definitely wasn't expecting the second. So that's all of the time I've been talking about how playing some odd cards you can catch people off guard a bit of opponents returning the favour. In a tough spot here where we don't have any cards in hand to kind of build any storm count to allow us to rebuild. So if we do draw a Reap in the Graves, we're kind of reliant on the opponent having some gas. Based on that, I'm not going to block. They'll get to loot again. We can trade with the Ninja at a later date if they picked up the Seer. Play the land and pass. We'll try and trade with the Ninja if it attacks. So you can see I've recent generals be playing some Baron Wars. We are at risk of flooding out. Obviously we've got some vaults we can discard. We cycled one of Baron Wars earlier, perhaps I could hold this back and cycle this to be a card deeper. But I think we're playing 17 lands and then 3 drums. So we do have, what's that, 20 mana sources to draw through. That's relatively fine. We can try and pick off a Ninja. Perhaps I should have played the Swamp out. But we've got the treasure to sack if they had the first Spell Pierce. Maybe it would have been good to be able to catch 2. So with the Ninjas we need to try and kill them before he took out the Rocket Snake. Yep. So last draw, reason we're not conceding, I mean, if we draw what's the guy called, Reaping the Graves, be able to get back 2 creatures, maybe there's some combination that will get there. That's not it. And again, as I mentioned, we've got lots of ways we could change the deck slightly to have more kind of shambling gas things that deal damage. Sideboarding, not really. It's a tough one because at the end of the day they are an aggressive deck, and I'm pretty confident as the matchup keeps going long that we'll be able to get out in front. We'll come out on top. Bring in the Snuff Outs to pick off the black spells is really good. Oh, it's another hand we'll keep. I'm currently missing a way to kind of sacrifice these for value. Having learned my lesson previously, we'll always lead with a gas, so that if they have 2 mana up with, we can essentially jam a spell, and if they have a spell stutter, and they've got to think about whether we can sacrifice this. Just keep jamming. Choice as to whether we play this into or tap this into the potential for an intruder. I choose not to. I'm thinking about something. Just they might have one. Two tops on the Fairy Seer. Swamp's not a bad draw. So we've got 2 creatures that we kind of want to have die, because we want to be able to kill this. To stop them being able to proc a ninja. Trying to work out whether there's any attack that we can make. I think I'm liking just attacking with the Infestation Sage, and I think it means they're quite unlikely to. Well, essentially, even if they do flash in a intruder and block, it just gives us we're essentially going to be trading this for a Fairy Seer in their next turn. So we don't get value out of this side, but we'll hopefully get value out of the insect token. So that's fine. So I'm kind of seeing this as a delayed trade. Kind of tempting to try an Unexpected Fangs to pump this up. But unfortunately we've seen quite a lot of mutagenic growth that would potentially blow us out there. I don't really want to be using a Snuff Out on the just a Fairy Seer. Again, we've got the Reaping the Graves, which it looks like we'll be able to potentially get back multiple creatures. So we double block here, they mutagenic growth, we'll just be able to pick these up. We've not kind of got a way to get ahead based on this, but at least we're kind of running them down on resources as we go. Yep. And then I'll be putting the -1/-1 from the Shambling Ghast onto the fairies here. Get a scry. I'm going to bottom this now. Pick this off. So they have another mutagenic growth. Are we happy with that? Don't think I mind too much. We're still going to be able to block the insect token on our next turn. See if they spend any more mana. So again, this is a weird spot. We're kind of ever so slightly behind on board, but we're I don't know, have 2 targets on. Yeah, 2 targets on gas, which is good. So we're slightly falling behind on the board, but they're spending quite a lot of cards to try and get a kind of tempo advantage, which we're hopefully just essentially resisting. So if we play out a swamp first, we've got the no, it's still never enough to deal with the spell stutter. That's fine. Not great, but we can't stop it. Play out an Infestation Sage and our last Freebooter. So we've got 2 mana up. Again, kind of an interesting spot. They've used up 2 mutagenic growths. Perhaps our Unexpected Fangs to keep a insect token alive through combat will pay off. Again, if they attack with this, I'm just going to block. I think we just play the beetle. So we're, as I say, almost entirely focused on stopping them from getting the spell stutter ninja combo off. Everything else is essentially just going to then come down to who can draw better. And we're back into a standoff. So that's interesting. Hopefully be able to get some power on our, or threaten some power on our Mortician Beetle. This resolves. Another sprite isn't great for us. I was thinking because they let the beetle through that it meant they might not have a spell stutter. Unfortunately they do. So they're going to be able to so we have to try and fangs our insect now so that they don't have a chance to pick this up already. They have a counterspell. Okay. Tempted to snuff out one of these just so that we can, if they're, as I kind of said, if they're popping ninjas off of fairies, we're not going to. That will kind of kill us a bit more slowly than if they are, essentially returning a counterspell as they draw. So I think we've got to go for this. Again, we're back to the point of being hellbent, which is can be quite tough because that kind of limits how much we can get off of a Reaping the Graves. To draw one. We'll get the block. No intruders. No ninja on the fairy. So obviously not the outcome that we were hoping for, but hopefully we've limited the damage. Keeping up 2 mana still, that's interesting. So keeping up 2 mana rather than replaying the Seer is obviously strongly trying to tell us that they've got a counterspell. I can't believe it'd be a sprite, or else they would have definitely countered. So I think we're probably going to use the Eviscerator's Insight to try and turn one of these into a flying blocker. And then it'll put a counter on our Mortician Beetle, so hopefully we can trade for the Ninja. Obviously, still at the risky point where if they have intruders or Systemic Growths, the trade won't work. If it's just this, perhaps I'm interested in just blocking with these two. Doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, I'm kind of liking blocking with these two. From how they're playing, it looks like they've got something, so we'll still be sacrificing one of these. Yeah, so we'll still be. I don't know. Let that go through. So we're back into a world where they might not be able to get value off of a ninja, or at least not straight away. That's tough. I think we've got to keep these draw twos at the minute. And now, if we try and sack one of the treasure tokens, and this will run into the counterspell, but we'll still have 5 mana up for the flashback. Oh, it was another sprite. That's very surprising. Maybe I missed the sequence of events where they had a yeah, maybe I missed the sequence of events where they had the 2 mana up. I'm sure that was on a turn where they attacked. I snuff outed some sprites. But I'm going to again try and block the sprite. Have an effect, we'll try and sacrifice our insect token. Yep. So this gets counter. I think this is unlikely to resolve, but we can hope. I've used 1 counterspell, 2 sprites. Okay, yeah. Beetle's holding off the intruders. Got 2 mana up again. I think I'm going to go to their turn and try and snuff out the sprite then. Again, just they might well have another snap, but it will snap them to keep the spell stutter around, but it will stop it from being able to attack and be picked up that way. If we let this resolve, that and they had another spell stutter in hand. Let this resolve and they have another spell stutter in hand. They can now counter it, which is great. I want them to make a choice without knowing that I'm hoping to kill the spell stutter. So I believe I can let them go to declare attackers, and then I kill it then, because it doesn't count as being unblocked until I've had the chance to block it. They have a counter spell. And we're at the point where looks like it might be quite rough to get back from here. So we keep the drum in hand. I guess we try and pick off an intruder. We've got the insight that we can flash back and sacrifice the Vault of Whispers, but currently that's just running into the spell stutter. I'm not going to throw away our one blocker here. Oh, and they have the growth. So I guess that we can play the insight. This gets countered. And then we'll be hoping to draw. Yeah. Here's some tough games. I think I'm relatively happy with how I've played this. Trying to follow the, have a plan and stick to it. I'm not quite sure where in this game the kind of big gaps, big leaks were. I think really the third spell stutter's done me in. So I'll concede and go on to last round. So we're back on the draw for round 5. Play out a drum again. Guess it's slightly better. So better to have a spell for this. Oh man, I hope this isn't Fae again. But we played this out to try and get around a spell pierce, so I guess we're already on that wavelength. Play the Beetle first, play the Ghast. And we've got one of these sacrifice spells up if we need it. Just attack. 4 fairies in a league is rough. I've just jumped into the deck editor and I'm just going to jam some Scattershot, the green 1/2, into the sideboard so that if we run into these again for the time being, I can get some vengeance. Okay, this looks like it might be more the Tolarian Terror, one of the Tolarian Terror decks. So at least we get a bit of variety. So if we sack our Shambling Ghast, field, always yes, accepts the treasure. This resolves. I'm going to fire off a Deadly Dispute, sacking the treasure token. See if we get ourselves Spell Pierce. Sneak it through. So, two Infiltrators here is suddenly going to make our clock a lot more realistic. And then hopefully you can see the drums doing a little bit here for us, letting us accelerate through a little bit more quickly. They've not had any way to interact previously, so I'm going to sacrifice the treasure, and we'll just try and trade this in for 2 cards now. See, the Infiltrators are getting large quite quickly. We get a Scry. Dispute's great. So I think now we're at the point that we might be able to get up to above 5 toughness on our Infiltrators. I think it's going to be quite hard for them to block for the rest of this game. Obviously they have a snap or other way of controlling the board. Do we want more of these? I think we still do. Play a second from the top. So we can draw straight back into these. By sacking the... what do we want to sack for this? I think we want to play out the Sage. Deadly Dispute the Sage. And this keeps our treasure token around for the Infiltrators. Whilst they're tapped out, I'm going to put this back into play. See, only one of our Infiltrators gets counter off of this, but what we do. I'm quite tempted to just block this. I guess with the unexpected fangs, we've got the chance to gain quite a lot of life. We're going to be able to gain some life back in the future. So this was always kind of my, I guess, the biggest concern when you're playing against this deck is you can keep up with a few of their big creatures, but it's when they can have a draw where they can put a lot of them into play at once, you do risk falling behind. But hopefully now with the feeder in play, their combat math is going to be very difficult. We've got an unexpected, another counter from our hand. Won't rely on this too much, or at least we'll lead with this on the chance they draw they have a counterspell. So what we can do is we can get this up to 5 power quite easily from these two, this up to 5 power with the fangs. So let's start with the fangs that we think is just going to get countered. I guess it doesn't matter too much which one we put it on. Yep. So now we can block this, actually block here, here and here. If we sack the insert token of the treasure, this will give us a 2-2 and a 4-3 left over against their 5-5. The alternative is to, I guess, also sack. So yeah, we're not going to get up to up above 5 toughness on this by sacking the feeder. The alternative is to, we can sacrifice the feeder to keep the Mortician Beetle alive. That's quite tempting. So we have a 6/6 and a 5/4. I think we'll go with that. Yeah, I can't imagine the feeder is worth more than a 6/6 beetle. That's a good draw. Obviously lets us get in a big attack. Now it'll be them on the defensive. And if they don't have another creature, counterspell won't do it anymore. Even if they do have another creature, unless it's another terror, if it's a Delver, not a terror or a serpent, that would be forced to chump block. So, okay, they do get one. Draw us one for the turn. I think I'm just going to keep that in hand as another thing they have to consider playing around. You get the gas up. So one advantage of playing against the mono blue deck as opposed to the mono blue terror deck as opposed to the fairies deck is that they're a lot more likely to play multiple spells, so that we can Reap in the Graves on their turn for some value. With this feeder, we'll be able to get us up to 7 toughness, which will obviously force them to chump, so they'll double block. They'll trade here, chump here, and we'll be left with a 7/7 to their empty board. We've seen a lot of Demon Furious, but I think this has got to be worthwhile. Essentially trading a carrion feeder. The tricky thing is that this is quite easy to sack. I could easily see where we get another way to sack the infiltrator for some more value, but whilst we've got them potentially on the ropes, I think we can keep pushing. Oh, okay. They made a mistake here. They had to block the other way around. Like this, we trade here. We don't actually have to sack the feeder. That's a good outcome. Yep. I'm keeping that on top. Here's a Delver. So we draw a Snuff out. We can hit the Delver and just chip in for 1. I'm not too sure on the carrion feeder being enough to get there on its own. My main thing is that if we were to play this turn, we're kind of use 2 counter spells. The main advantage I think of playing this, well, 2 advantages. One is it takes them off of deep analysis in their graveyard. The other is that it avoids us running this directly into a counterspell. I think the deep analysis is another reason to put them down to 3 instead of 4. Start thought scanning us. Same with the Mortician Beetle. Unfortunately, we mill the Reap in the Graves from Great Straw. Hit a cycle land. I was thinking a bit about whether we play out land here, but ultimately I don't think it's going to matter too much. Very glad if they're not going to have anything of note that we've kept them off the deep analysis in the graveyard. I'm not going to play this. Well, see, inclined not to play this into a counterspell. Instead, if we hold it for I guess it's tough. So if we play it out and they draw 1 creature, they don't have a counterspell, they draw a creature, it would mean that we'd attack for lethal still. If we do play it and they have a counterspell, keeping it back would let us get some value off of Reap in the Graves. I think if we hit a Reaping, the chance that they can put together a few spells on their turn is high enough. They'll cantrip into cantrip. Can't afford to be too afraid of the counterspell. Yeah. Very much not surprised. One of the few things that makes sense for them to have, but I think we're priced into it from the from being able to keep them off of 1 creature being able to stabilise. Well, every threat's lethal at this point. Every creature's lethal. Not sure we can call them a threat. They mill over our feeder. So we actually have a Eviscerated Insight in here somewhere, so if they keep milling us, that's not the end of the world. So we can take the opportunity whilst they're tapped out, turn this into a draw 2. I think I'm going to bottom the gas, try and hit some more draw 2s, or hit Reaping. Maybe that's greedy. Reaping the Graves. Fantastic. Got infinite lands. We're going to have a big turn. Looking to have a big turn here, so we'll sacrifice the Bolt. So we tap for mana. Reaping for 4. We'll get back a Infiltrator, Beetle, Carrion Feeder, and Infestation Sage. Can make black mana off of this. Play out a what's best? I guess the key thing is we're going to be playing out the Infestation Sage so that we can. Oh no, this was wrong. It was Feeder and Carrion Feeder. I nearly got there, but played too fast. It would have been great to be able to have a flying blocker in our next turn to attack, but a Reaping to end up on time. So these are only really going to snag Deep Analyses and then Sleep of the Dead, the escape card. I'm bringing the Snuff out because they have a relatively low number of creatures. Mesmeric Fiends are a tough one. I think I'm going to leave them out. So that's 5 cards to board out, or 5 cards to bring in. In terms of what we've board out, again, we've seen quite a lot of bounce spells from them, so I'll take these. I'm looking at the Infestation Sage as another option. Going up to 4 snuff-outs and very few fangs is quite a tough sell. Yeah, we're not looking at this as great, but I'd hate to kind of keep them off of a tower, so maybe only 2 of them is fine. And then cut some freebooters over the sages. With a sage and feeder. Again, if they have the potential for the bounce spells, going all in off of a carrion feeder is not as appealing as it is if we're getting some value off the draw spells as we go. I think we'll stick with this. I'm a bit worried that leaving these out and having the 4 snuff-outs is too greedy, but we'll see how it goes. Keep for now. I guess the advantage of playing a feeder is that they have like a delver, we can still threaten to attack. 2 delvers really threaten to attack. Shambling Ghast is great. So we'll pick off one of the delvers. And I think if we play Infestation Sage with Freebooter, let's see if they set this up to flip from the Ponder. No, they're shuffling. No flips, there are only 3 cards in the graveyard for now, so actually we might be able to keep them off things with the reunion well enough. Let's attack him with both, see what we can see. Thinking this is likely a counter spell, but I'll hang out the carrion feeder to dry. Sure. So I think they're really playing that to just get the cards into their graveyard. Don't think they're too concerned over the extra feeder on this board, but we take 3. So they've got the Sleeper Dead, which is what we're hoping to pick off with the Rotten Reunion. We know they've 1 Spell Pierce, but that shouldn't be enough to stop us. So attack for 2, I'm going to trade the Freebooter in. 2 cards. I guess we Rotten Reunion this now. Like Infiltrator. has to get counterspelled now. So Decayed synergizes really well with this deck. It sacrifices after damage doesn't happen, so you can get the damage and then sacrifice them. Also, is another thing that I guess sacrifices without a carrion feeder to trigger the Infiltrator. So we're kind of going to get 3 bites of the apple this time. Demon Fairy this? I think I'm just fine with that. We'll go second from the top. I was expecting to have I might well have a Thought Scour or something. But I'll be able to show off, so the zombie token gets to do its damage. It will then be sacrificed up to combat to put a counter on Infiltrator. I'm going to sacrifice the treasure token just to get an extra counter, next to put damage in. So this attacks in for 6. Zombie token sacrifice himself, we get another counter up to 4, and then we'll be trying to pick something off with a Rotten Reunion. Depending on what it is they play. So this will be 5, 6 cards in the graveyard, so I'm just going to take out a... Oh, but the Delver's not contributing. Either way, I'm going to take out a counterspell now. Just going to go second with the top as well. So it looks like we're drawing Carrion Feeder into the Infiltrator. I'm not going to attack with the zombie token yet. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's better. So they've not really got a lot of terrorizing going on in this game. There's the first Serpent. So try and play an Infiltrator. We know the last card is the Spell Pierce. So how does damage work here? Let's have a bit of a think. So if we attack with all 3, they block the feeder, they just take 3. We sack the feeder to itself to get counter on the Infiltrator, sack the token, we're still short on some power. So I think unfortunately we have to go to their turn. And then next turn when we can attack with the Infiltrator as well, that will be hopefully enough to get a good hit in. Take 3 off the Delver. Don't think we're at the point where we want to be sacking the Sage already. Shambling Gas is good. Another sack up, another piece of sack fodder. It doesn't get Spell Pierced. So math is for blockers. Wasn't expecting that. So currently they're taking 6. So currently taking 5. I can sacrifice this. Make a treasure. They now have to have an instant speed wave interacting. Nope. Okay, so it's just a mistake there again. 3-2 going 1 and 2 against Blue Delver. I was kind of saying earlier on, I'm just going to be really cheap and put some Scattershot Archers in my sideboard so I don't get that again. Hopefully you can see some of the power behind the deck. Having some big turns with the Reaping the Graves. Didn't have any kind of, I think, hugely impressive games this league. And a bit of a shame on the results. feels like we probably could have got up to 4-1 at some point. But yeah, this is this deck. I'll probably try and record another league soon and put out some similar content. Main reason I want to start making videos just to try to show off some kind of cool ideas. In Pauper, I think that there's a lot of stuff out there. There's the deck's certainly very powerful, so you can't kind of do complete nonsense. But there's lots of options for decks that are, pretty powerful, kind of tier 2, tier 3 decks, and thinking of trying to spread some ideas around there. So I've got the tour text list that I really like. I got some leagues, good results in leagues with a while back. Unfortunately, Brood Scale's very tough. I think there's really anything you can do for that matchup. So, slight trailer for next time. We'll see whether it's another league with this or moving on to Tortured Existence.